If you're concerned about the outcome of the US election, you're not alone. As many as 15% of US citizens have reportedly considered leaving the country exclusively for political reasons. So if that's you and you're genuinely thinking of moving out of the United States if Trump becomes president again, then this video is for you, because I'll be sharing with you 8 countries that share some of the same values as the US Democratic Party. Things like a strong welfare system, progressive social policies, and environmental protection. Now, it goes without saying, but this video has nothing to do with my personal political views. I'm just an international relocation consultant who's here to share information with you about countries that you might genuinely want to live in. So without further ado, let's get started. The first place that many Americans say they're going to move during an election year is Canada. And although people from both sides of the aisle say this, it actually makes a lot of sense, especially if you're a Democrat. Canada and the US have a long history of friendly relations. It's right over the border with a progressive government, universal healthcare, and a strong social safety net. It also shares many cultural similarities with the United States. For these reasons and more, we actually saw a spike of US citizens moving to Canada right after President Trump's inauguration in 2017. So while a lot of people are of course joking about moving to Canada, a certain number are also taking it really seriously. On the flip side, Canada has come under scrutiny in recent years for certain environmental policies, and there have also been rising tensions between the citizens and the government, especially such as the 2022 Freedom Convoy protests and general resistance to lockdowns and vaccine mandates during COVID. If you're thinking about moving to Canada, well, first, it's a great place for an exploratory visit because eligible US citizens with a passport can stay in Canada for up to 180 days per calendar year. And if you go there and you decide that you really like it and you want to stay longer, well, this authorization is also renewable with the right documents. So you need to show things like purpose of your stay and also financial solvency to be able to be approved for an extension. Canada also offers various long-term immigration programs, such as a startup visa for entrepreneurs. And if you're in college or going back to school, you can also consider applying for a study permit. Canada also has a federal skilled worker program. So if you're working in a field such as healthcare or technology or any other type of high-demand skills, then you can also apply for that. And Quebec also has a very similar program if you're thinking of moving to that side of the country. Popular places to live in Canada include Ottawa, a mid-sized city with a balanced lifestyle, affordable housing, and the 3rd highest household income in the country. Toronto, a walkable city with good services and public transportation, but it's a bit pricier with a median home price of over $1.2 million. Vancouver, the perfect blend of a modern city close to nature, surrounded by beaches and bike paths, and within an hour from the ski slopes. Also make sure to check out Halifax, Nova Scotia, a small but growing city in Atlantic Canada, voted one of the best cities to live in the country. France isn't just a great place to drink wine and eat bread. It's a diverse and beautiful country with one of the strongest capitalist economies in the world. France has really been able to strike this balance between maintaining its strong economy, but also still providing a very secure safety net for its workers. If you've ever been to France, then chances are you got caught in the middle of some sort of train strike or other type of strike. So workers' rights are very important there, but in general, the culture there is all about quality of life. And the French people have done a really good job of being able to uphold this love of life while also still being productive. If you move to France, you can be eligible for universal healthcare, unemployment benefits, pensions, and more. The French government is known for providing a strong social and economic support to both its residents and citizens. And French President Emmanuel Macron, who's made no secret of his support for Presidents Obama, Biden, and VP Harris, who he's referred to as his allies and friends. A downside to immigrating to France is the high tax rate, but then again, you get a lot in return. Now, one of the most common ways for US citizens to move to France is through the long stay visa, which can then become temporary residency and permanent residency. And this is an option where you can go as a retiree, or you could also work in France or work for yourself. France also offers an entrepreneur visa, talent visa, student visa, and more. There's even a special category for au pairs. If you want help moving to France, Europe, or almost anywhere in the world, then I can help. Reach out to learn more at travelingwithkristen.com/relocation. And after this video, check the description so you can watch my best places to live in France video. Sweden is a strong welfare state in Europe with universal healthcare, progressive social values, and a strong focus on renewable energy and sustainability. It's often ranked as one of the best places to live in the world for these reasons, as well as its strong economy, good infrastructure, and well-maintained public services. Something that I love about Sweden is that they actually have a term in Swedish, which I won't attempt to pronounce, which translates to right to roam, because they have this perspective that the ability to go into nature is a human right, and I really love that. 70% of Sweden is covered by forest, including 30 national parks, so whether you're looking for islands, nature reserves, or the Northern Lights, you can find it in Sweden. Sweden is also extremely safe. One of the things that stuck out to me when I was there was going into the cafe or co-working space or coffee shop, and you see people leaving their laptops on the table to go to the bathroom. Now, I would not risk that in almost any country I've ever traveled to, but if you do that in Sweden, chances are it will still be there when you get back. Another thing that Sweden is known for is you'll see people leaving their babies in strollers outside of cafes and shops and restaurants, which is definitely not something that I would recommend trying in the United States. If you are a female or LGBTQ+, Sweden is also a country known for gender equality and equal rights. To live in Sweden, you can apply for a work permit, study permit, or through family connections. There's also a self-employment visa valid for up to 2 years, and it's renewable. To apply for this, you'll need at least 200,000 Swedish kroner in the bank, equivalent to about 20,000 US dollars. Like Sweden, another country with a strong social welfare system is Germany. Former Chancellor Angela Merkel was a close ally of President Obama, and her successor, Olaf Scholz, is from the same Social Democratic Party. He has publicly endorsed Joe Biden in the past, praised Kamala Harris, and welcomed their support of NATO. While no one I know moves to Germany for the weather, for instance, it's still a country that can provide you with a very high standard of living, mostly for its infrastructure, public services, and also its strong social safety net. Depending on your immigration category and how long you've lived in Germany and a few other factors, you can qualify for this social welfare system that includes a whole host of benefits from pensions to healthcare, free education, family benefits, unemployment benefits, and much more. Now, Germany doesn't offer a special type of retirement visa or digital nomad visa, but there is a general long stay visa there that can work for a lot of different categories, from working to family reunification. And for digital nomads, there is a very popular self-employment and freelancer visa, which wasn't created for digital nomads, but has become very popular in the remote work community. Popular places to live in Germany include Berlin for a progressive international multicultural vibe, Frankfurt, the most important financial center of Europe since Brexit, and Munich and Hamburg for family-friendly cities with a high standard of living and lots of art and culture. The next country on my list is one of my personal favorites in the world, especially if you are a solo female traveler. I love it for its safety, peacefulness, and also raw, wild nature, and that is Norway. Norway has a wealthy economy with a low unemployment rate, free education, and one of the best healthcare systems in the world. You might even live longer in Norway, as the country has a high life expectancy of over 80 years old. Something that's struck me when I was there was how many parents I saw walking around with kids and babies in their strollers. And it was happening so often, especially in the capital of Oslo, that I asked my Norwegian friend what was going on. And she told me that Norway actually is one of the countries that has the most federally mandated maternity and paternity leave in the world. New moms in Norway are entitled to almost a year of paid leave at 100% of their salary, or 59 weeks at 80%, and dads are also entitled to 3.5 months of paid leave. This stuck out to me a lot because it's not something that I typically observe in the United States, and part of that is because we have to drive everywhere in cars, whereas in Norway there's better public transportation. But the other half of this is that the US is the only developed country in the OECD that doesn't have federally mandated maternity and paternity leave. So if that's something that is very important to you, then you can certainly consider moving to Norway. On top of that, Norway is a very safe country overall. It has a lot of beauty and nature, and it also has a strong job market. Norway is also a Schengen country, which means that as a US citizen, you can stay there for up to 90 days per 6 months as a tourist. And if you want to live there, there are immigration categories for skilled workers, seasonal workers, artists, students, and families. Nice places to live in Norway include the capital of Oslo, the towns of Stavanger and Bergen, known for their great hiking, and also the Arctic fjords of Lofoten in the north. Trondheim is also a nice, pretty city in central Norway with a close-knit community, also on the coast. If you're looking to get far, far away from the United States, consider New Zealand. In New Zealand, you'll find clean air, blue skies, expansive nature, and friendly people, also known as Kiwis. The first time I ever thought about moving to New Zealand was because one of my mom's coworkers decided to quit his job and up and move his entire family there. He'd been doing a lot of research online, and he decided that New Zealand was the best country in the world, and without ever having gone there, he moved and never came back. And now that I've done more research, I can understand, because not only is New Zealand a very beautiful country, but it's also a very safe country that has low incidences of gun violence and also strong civil rights. New Zealand was the first country with universal suffrage. Women got the right to vote back in 1893. In New Zealand, people have many of the same freedoms that US citizens can relate to: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of expression, and more. This is also a country known for its nature, with 30% of the land protected national reserve. You can experience all 4 seasons here with plenty of outdoor activities, from hiking to sailing, skiing, rafting, surfing, paragliding, and more. Now, New Zealand is a country with a low population, so if you're thinking of moving there, then there'll be a pretty big difference between the more populated cities and also the smaller towns and villages. Popular places to live include larger cities such as Auckland, Wellington, and Napier, as well as smaller towns like Dunedin, Queenstown, and Raglan. Portugal is often seen as one of the most open and welcoming countries in Europe, with liberal immigration policies and affordable healthcare. It ranks highly for quality of life, safety, and the ability to integrate with the community. Portugal is truly one of those countries where foreigners feel at home. Especially for US citizens, there are somewhere between 10 and 15,000 Americans reportedly living in Portugal right now, but there could be many, many more who are there traveling or slow traveling as digital nomads. Besides the stunning beauty of Portugal and the friendly people, many expats are drawn there for the low cost of living. At an average of $1,300 to $1,900 per month for one person, Portugal is actually the cheapest country in Western Europe out of more than 20 countries. But of course, that all depends on where you live in Portugal. Fortunately, there are so many beautiful places to choose from in Portugal, from the capital city of Lisbon to the beaches of the Algarve and the Silver Coast to the wine country of Porto. Many US citizens are moving to Portugal on what's called the D7 visa, and this is available for retirees and working folks alike, including digital nomads. With this visa, you could get temporary residency there, which can turn into permanent residency and then ultimately become a path to citizenship after you've lived there long enough. On the downside, Portugal changed its NHR tax program for foreigners in 2024, which caused many people to leave. But with a low cost of living and everything else that Portugal has to offer, thousands of US citizens are staying there anyway. For more on living in Portugal, check this video's description for my videos on the cost of living there and also the best places to live. The top country on my list for people fleeing the United States is Costa Rica, and for many reasons. Costa Rica is one of the few stable democracies in Latin America. It's a country known for its amazing nature, wildlife, and its commitment to sustainability, environmental conservation, and also high-quality medical care, drawing medical tourists and eco-tourists from around the world. There are already a reported 120,000 US expats living there, so it's not necessarily the best kept secret anymore. But another thing that makes it such a good option is the short distance from the United States. You're only 3 hours from Florida. It could be 5 or 6 hours from a lot of other major airports in the US. So it's a really good location if you want to be able to come and go and visit family while also living a more free lifestyle abroad. Costa Rica has strong cultural and economic ties to the US. You can even pay in US dollars in many places, and the country makes it very straightforward to move there, with plenty of different visa categories for foreigners. There are so many different visa options when it comes to Costa Rica, which is a true sign that the government wants to bring people in. You've got the pensionado visa for retirees, you have the rentista visa with proof of income, the inversionista visa for investors. You also have the new Digital Nomad visa, and Costa Rica has also extended its tourist visa from 90 to 180 days per year in recent years. And this is one of those visas that it renews as soon as you leave the country and come back in, which is a bit different from going to Europe, where once you're there for 90 days, you have to leave for 90 days. So you've got also a big population of people doing what we call perpetual tourism, where they come in and out on their tourist visas throughout the years. But these days, there's no need for that, as there's so many other visa and residency options available at affordable prices as well, and with low proof of income thresholds. It's not perfect though. There is a lot of crime and corruption in Costa Rica, but if you want to move somewhere close while still maintaining ties to the US, Costa Rica is a great option. Next up, I have a video about the best places to live in Costa Rica, or you can watch this one next, which is my top 8 recommendations on places to move from a conservative perspective if Kamala becomes president. But have you left the US, or are you planning to move abroad? Let me know in the comments below, and subscribe for more videos on travel and living abroad.